Hello and welcome to this presentation. My name's Mark Cosgrave. I'm the Western Europe Divisional Manager here at Optex, and today we're going to be looking at the QXI series. So the QXI series comes in 4 separate models. We have 2 wired and 2 battery operated models, and they are both passive infrared and passive infrared plus microwave. So you can select the applicable product depending on the application. This presentation will predominantly focus on the QXI DT, so we're going to be looking at the features of that particular unit predominantly because that is the more prevalent model in the series. So firstly, I'd just like to touch quickly on external detectors as a whole. Traditionally, security systems have been specified looking predominantly at internal detection, and that is all well and good in the past. However, I think today many end users are looking to prevent a break-in, and any good security system then needs to consider external detectors as part of that solution. So just to touch quickly on installation itself, the QXI has a flexible installation height of between 2.2 to 2.7 meters, and also a low installation height of 0.8 and 1.2 meters. This means that it's an extremely flexible device that can be that can be installed in either a high mount or low mount application. Now the benefit of that is that there's no need for you to purchase additional lenses or any additional accessories. Everything to achieve this is available in the box, and it's a simple fact of physically making an adjustment to the sensor itself. So the sensor is actually a 12 meter 120 degree sensor, so it's quite a wide angled detection sensor, and it sits between our VXI series, which is 90 degree, and the WXI version, which is 180 degrees. But it still delivers a relatively wide detection area in both high and low mount applications. Now the device, as I said, we were going to be predominantly talking about is going to be the QXI DT. Now that particular device consists of what we would state as triple technology. So it has both microwave and passive infrared sensor 1 and then number 2. Now what that allows to do is to combine those technologies together to create volumetric detection. Which means that in a high mount application you still have high reliability against small animal detection, as well as being able to detect human intrusion. Now with the sensor low mount, again still uses the microwave and the upper and a lower detection field, and what this allows you to be able to do is to have good animal detection, immunity, depending on the height from which you install, as long as it is between 0.8 and 1.2 meters. Now what we state is that it is a small pet immunity, so this is going to be able to discriminate against things like birds and cats, squirrels and small dogs that may be moving within a detection area. If you do have medium size or large dogs, there are alternative detection solutions, so please consider those depending on the application. Anti-blocking, so this is a feature that we've included in this particular model. In our previous in other previous sensors which we've released, we've used something called anti-masking. Now anti-masking technology is the sensor enabling itself to be masked, so if somebody's placed something physically over the sensor, the detector is able to recognize that. Now the detection technology we've used has been active infrared, but on this particular model, on the QXI DT, we're using anti-blocking technology via the microwave detector. The idea being that in certain scenarios you may like to use this type of technology rather than the active infrared systems that we have on other sensors. The sensor being a high mount sensor and a low mount sensor, it's been necessary for us to upgrade our SMDA logic. Now this is the intelligence built into our sensors. Our sensors have microprocessors built into them, and what they actually do is that they're able to detect and recognize particular approaches into the detection area, and it means that there's a level of analytics built in to be able to correctly identify the difference between animals or vegetation and an actual clear intrusion. Now, there's obviously different seasons from which the sensor is being installed, so it's important that the product has longevity, so it's able to last, particularly externally. Now, one of the key things that we have here in our Dual-Tech version is what we call a Tough Mode 2 microwave. Now, this is specifically developed by Optex for that purpose of being reliable over the entire life of the sensor. And we're able to do that by the sensor itself is mounted on a ceramic board, and we use gold-plated antenna. And what that means is it gives us a high level of resistance in those changing weather conditions. When you do have humidity, the sensor itself is already put together to cope with those types of environments, so you can have assurance that your sensor will give you a good life, a good long life of consistent detection. One of the issues that you can face with other types of microwave boards is corrosion on the antenna, which gives you irregular detection patterns throughout the life of the detector and can lead to miss and false alarms. So that's one of the primary reasons why we did that. Itself, the unit is IP55 and is actually made of ASA plastics. Now what this allows for with the IP55 is for the sensor itself to breathe. Now that's particularly important in areas where there is a high humidity, because there's a good likelihood for condensation to build up inside the sensor itself, which can lead to longer term problems with the sensor. But with having an IP55 rating, it allows there to be a certain amount of flow through the sensor, which can help to move out any humidity that may occur inside the sensor itself. Now, the reason that we're also using ASA plastics is that it's far more resistant to UV sunlight. So on maybe units from back catalogue, VX402 for instance, it's a product that I can think of that's made of ABS. Now that plastic, where very tough and robust, it could be susceptible to UV damage, and what happens is that you get discoloration, and also the plastic becomes quite brittle, so it would be necessary over time to replace that hood, that cover. Now, using ASA plastics, you get a much more high level of resilience to UV sunlight, and that means then that it shouldn't be as necessary to replace the sensor, replace the cover over the entire lifetime of the sensor itself. So with the QXI, we've followed on from other models like the BXS, VXS, which is to focus a lot on the design to try and make it discreet and stylish, so people will not have too much of an aversion to having it on the outside of their home. We've also looked at quick installation. I know that particularly from an installation perspective, it's important to be able to install these products relatively straightforwardly, so you can minimize the amount of training that's necessary, and also minimize the amount of installation time. Now this unit borrows from the concept of the BXS, which is to have a cartridge, so you have the base, the main unit, and the cover itself, so you can have very quick installation with very easy cable management. Also, when we talk about installation, we're also looking at bracketry. Now these aren't included, so if they are necessary, please please they'll need to purchase them as an accessory. So you have the CA1W and then in brackets W, and what that means is that it's a wall mount bracket that is white, so it matches the colour of the body itself. So please be careful when you're ordering that product to make sure that you use that part number, otherwise you may end up with a bracket that is of similar design but of a different colour. We also have the CA2C W, which is the ceiling mount option for that as well. So if you have an overhang and you would like to connect the sensor to that overhang, you're able to do that with this accessory. Now there is technical training available should you need any assistance when it comes to knowing how to run through the setup of the sensor. So should you need any additional assistance, my contact details are at the end of the presentation. Please don't hesitate to give me a call should you need some additional installation advice. So other models in the Infinity range include the VXI and WXI, as well as the FTN series. So these are a family now of sensors designed for wired activation. We also now, as I mentioned at the very beginning, was wireless, and we recognise that our products need to be battery operated so they can lend itself to wireless communication. It's becoming more and more popular as the technology becomes more stable and more reliable, that more and more people are utilising it, particularly in domestic and light commercial applications. So our battery operated devices are able to incorporate and integrate into most wireless security systems. There is an additional presentation that talks about the different methods on how you can achieve this. So the battery operated models that we have come with a slightly larger back box, and what that allows you to do is to insert the transmitter that comes with your security system. Now one of the key nice features that we have in the QXI series is that it's supplied with a dummy battery. And what this allows you to do is to insert the dummy battery into the transmitter, and then that plugs onto the PCB board, which means that there's no then need to have two batteries within the same unit, as the CR123 battery, which mounts into the front of the unit, is able to power both the sensor and the transmitter at the same time. And then when you come to replace that battery, it's very straightforward. You just take the main house cover off and then you have access to the battery. So we've really thought about trying to make it as easy as possible for the installer, and then also for the maintenance after the fact of installation. So the lineup itself, we again have the VXI models, the WXI models, along with the QXI that we're talking about now, as well as the FTN series. Thank you very much for taking the time to review this presentation, and I wish you all well and good health. Thank you very much.